Welcome back everyone. In today's session, I'm going to give you the line-by-line explanation of small towns and the river. And this poem is from Dai's collection, River Poems. It is a poem about life and mortality, the eternal flow of the river being contrasted with the limited span of human life. This poem is metaphorical. We have the image of the river, and the river is a symbol of immortality, enduring presence in this poem. This poem is centered around small towns by the river, and here the poet has presented a juxtaposition. What is the meaning of juxtaposition? To place side by side. Juxtaposition of impermanent nature of human life with the perpetual flow of water. Transient nature of human life. All men are mortals. Inevitability of death. With the passage of time, we are all going to die. And we have the eternity of nature. And river is a part of this eternal cycle of nature. It stands for timelessness. It stands for eternity, continuity of life. In this way, this poem is symbolic. I'm going to give you the easy explanation, but before that, please subscribe to our channel, like, share and comment, and also tap the bell icon. Do check the pinned comment section for all important video links related to your syllabus. Small towns always remind me of death. The poem opens on a somber note. Small towns always remind the poet of death. Mortality of man's life on earth. Small towns, this is an important image. This image stands for community, and in a community we have traditions, rituals and shared history. So it is against the backdrop of such a community that the poet wants to unfold the cycles of life and death. Small towns, this image also stands for rural tranquility. Rural tranquility, rural calmness, peacefulness, away from the hustle and bustle of city life. And we also have close connection to nature. My hometown lies calmly amidst the trees. And the poet belongs to Pasighat, a small town in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. She was born in the Adi tribal community of Arunachal Pradesh. And tribal rituals have been in existence since time immemorial. Such rituals have been passed down from one generation to another for thousands of years. And here in this poem, we have the distinct flavor of Arunachal Pradesh. And let's see what is there in the first stanza now. My hometown lies calmly amidst the trees. So close connection to nature. The hometown of the poet lies calmly in the midst of a wooded landscape. It is always the same. The town is depicted as unchanging and constant. Permanence, constancy. These terms are related to the hometown of the poet. It is always the same. It never changes in summer or winter. So it is not affected by the change of seasons. It is always the same in summer or winter with the dust flying or the wind howling down the gorge. The town remains the same regardless of the change of seasons. And the imagery of dust flying suggests movement and activity. We also have a figure of speech over here, synecdoche. This is important and this is a new concept for you. The dust continues to fly and the winds howl down the valley. This creates a gloomy picture. Metaphorically, the dust is an example of synecdoche. And this suggests that human beings are made of dust and return to dust when they die. The hometown is permanent. It is constant. Constancy of hometown, untouched by changing seasons, passage of time. But human beings are not. Their lives on earth are not permanent. Their days are numbered. So, human beings return to the dust after their death, or the wind howling down the gorge. What is the meaning of gorge? A deep narrow valley with steep sides, usually formed by a river or stream cutting through the rock. The wind is portrayed as making a loud and mournful sound as it passes through a gorge. We have a gloomy picture over here, as if reminding us of the inevitability of death. Towns, therefore, stand for timelessness and also a kind of stagnation. It does not change. The hometown does not change. Monotonous existence of the town. Irrespective of cyclic seasonal changes, the town remains unchanged. So we have timelessness on one hand, and we also have a kind of stagnation on the other. And the small towns are there, standing there forever, and the river flows by, and the river is dynamic. Therefore, the image of the river is also significant in this poem. Just the other day, someone died. In the dreadful silence, we wept. We is significant. This shows grief. Dreadful silence, grief and mourning. We wept. Community mourns in solemn silence the death of someone just the other day. So death is very common. Collective mourning. This presents a picture of collective mourning in a community. And therefore, I mentioned about the community right at the very beginning of this session. In the dreadful silence we wept. The poet recounts the recent death of an individual in the town, and the community mourns the loss of the dead person in a solemn silence. And what is the meaning of dreadful? Causing or involving great suffering, fear or unhappiness. And here we have grief. In the dreadful silence we wept. Alliteration, looking at the sad wreath of tube roses. Life and death, repetition. This shows the cycle, the eternal cycle of life and death. Only the rituals are permanent. Looking at the sad wreath of tube roses, the funeral of the dead man. Here we have a visual image, the image of a wreath made from tube roses. What is a wreath? Wreath is a ring made of flowers and leaves or evergreens. And tube roses? Tube rose, Mexican herb having grass-like leaves. And this flower is often used in funerals, and this adds to the somber atmosphere in the poem. Life and death, only the rituals are permanent. Life and death, here we have the emphasis on inevitability of death. We have the emphasis on inevitability of death. Only the rituals are permanent. Very important. This repetition, life and death, emphasizes the inseparable nature of life and death, and the rituals are cultural practices that endure beyond individual lifespans. Tying the community together in a shared experience. Such tribal rituals are handed down from one generation to another. The people die, and the people who are still alive, they perform the rituals, and this continues forever because death is inevitable, and this is the cycle of life and death. The river has a soul. So after the images of grief and death, we have the river. Here the speaker speaks about the river, personifies the river. The river has a soul. The river is a symbol of eternity, timelessness, and immortality in the poem. When the poet says that the river has a soul, she refers to the dynamic nature of river and also the fact that there is a spiritual dimension to the river's existence. It's over here. Spiritual dimension to its existence. The river has a soul. In the summer, it cuts through the land like a torrent of grief. This is simile. While life and death are inescapable, the ritual surrounding death provides a sense of permanence. The river has a soul. The living presence of the river that transcends its physical nature. It goes beyond its physical nature. There is a spiritual dimension to its existence. The river's powerful flow during the summer is described as cutting through the surrounding landscape like a torrent of grief to a surge of sorrow or sadness. Sometimes I think it holds its breath, seeking a land of fish and stars. So the poet speculates. Sometimes I think. She is not sure. She speculates that the river seems to pause as if waiting or seeking something beyond its current state. The river is portrayed as searching for a place abundant in fish and where the stars are visible. It knows stretching past the town from the first drop of rain to dry earth and mist on the mountain tops. Alliteration. The visual image mist on the mountain tops refers to the ethereal beauty of the landscape, and this has an essence of Arunachal Pradesh. The river knows personification. The river knows the immortality of water. The river has a deep understanding and wisdom, and this is a metaphor for the immortality of water. The river flows through many small towns. The river gathers many experiences along its course, and it knows about the immortality of its water. This is the higher knowledge. Human life is impermanent and water, the flow of water, is permanent. A shrine of happy pictures marks the days of childhood. A shrine of happy pictures. So here we have childhood versus adulthood. A shrine of happy pictures marks the days of childhood, and childhood is a stage of innocence. Children are carefree, they are happy, and they are unaware of the bitter truths of life. In childhood, during childhood, a child does not know what is death, what is loss of a dead person. Small towns grow with anxiety for the future. Future is uncertain. Small towns, here small towns, the people of the small towns, they grow. They pass the stage of childhood, happy childhood, and they grow into adults, and as they become adults, they experience a lot of things, they acquire a lot of knowledge, and this knowledge of the cycle of life and death, of the transitory nature of life on earth, this knowledge fills people with anxiety for the uncertain future. The dead are placed pointing west. The sun sets in the west. So west refers to the setting sun. When the soul rises, it will walk into the golden east. East stands for the rising sun. Afterlife, the concept of afterlife, renewal and rebirth into the house of the sun. So here the image is significant. What is the meaning of this section? We have the river's continuity and the enduring nature, and this symbolizes the immortality of water, highlighting its eternal essence. We have the joy, the innocence, the happiness of childhood, and on the other hand, we have the anxieties, the worries of adulthood. The dead are placed pointing, alliteration west. When the soul rises, it will walk, alliteration into the golden east, into the house of the sun. Here, the poet refers to the belief in afterlife. When the dead are laid to rest, their bodies are positioned facing westward towards the setting sun. And referring to the belief in an afterlife, the poet here contemplates the ascent of the soul, the rise of the soul. The soul will walk into the golden east, into the house of the sun. The soul will rise and it will journey towards the east, and east is a symbol of the divine and the enlightenment. So here we have the desire for transcendence, for a connection with something divine, the higher realm, the spiritual elevation after death. In the cool bamboo, restored in sunlight, life matters like this. The poet shifts the focus to a tranquil scene in the coolness of bamboo groves. In the cool bamboo, restored in sunlight, life matters like this. The bamboo is bathed in sunlight and it represents rejuvenation and vitality. In small towns by the river, we all want to walk with the gods. So again here there is desire for transcendence, for a connection with something which is divine, something greater, the higher realm, spiritual elevation. The poet stresses upon the significance and value of life, drawing attention and the beauty of existence. But death overpowers everyone. In small towns by the river, we all want to walk with the gods. Again, the poet shifts the focus to the small towns situated by the river, emphasizing the collective desire and aspiration of the community. We all want to walk, alliteration, with the gods. So here we have the sense of hope and restoration instead of the somber note. We all want to walk with the gods. There is a universal longing shared by the people living in these small towns, and it suggests a desire to transcend, to go beyond the limits of human existence. The image of walking with the gods symbolize a quest for spiritual elevation and a sense of fulfillment. So we have a somber note, and we also have the concept of afterlife, renewal and rebirth. Here the poet conveys the truth that life and death are all uninterrupted cyclic processes. In our society, traditions, customs, rituals are permanent but not human life. The river, that is nature, on the other hand, is permanent. There is this paradoxical relationship between the permanence of nature, soul, rituals and the transience of mortal life in this poem. What are the themes of this poem? Transience of life, fleeting nature of human existence and the cycle of life and death. Connection with nature. So here the poem explores the deep connection between humans and the natural world. Here there is interconnectedness between living beings and the eternal cycle of nature. And then longing for transcendence, longing for spiritual elevation, for a higher realm. And then rituals and permanence. Rituals surrounding death. These rituals are permanent, handed down from one generation to another.